Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Pre-Market News and Views by In the Money Stocks. Today is Wednesday, September 21st, 2011. Let's get right into the charts. It's going to be a big day for the market. A few reasons. First, let's look at the S&P 500 E-mini futures. Just move over to a 10-minute time frame here so you get a better glimpse at it. But you can see the futures have rolled over. They were trading higher overnight. They have rolled over some. Trading down just about 4.5 points. Not really all that big a deal at the moment. Things could change in a heartbeat. But nonetheless, futures are rolling over this morning after trading up around 2 in the morning. But we have the Federal Reserve meeting today, so a lot of traders are expecting something out of the Federal Reserve. We already know that they're probably going to implement this Operation Twist. Will they do a QE3? That's the big question. I happen to think they won't because they just ended QE2, so I really can't see them doing a QE3 so soon. That would really tell you how bad things are, and we already have a glimpse of it last week by the ECB, the Federal Reserve, the Bank of England, all of them joining in to provide liquidity in dollars to the European markets. So in any case, I think we got to watch the markets and be a little bit guarded here against any news out of Europe and anything else that happens. But I just can't see the Federal Reserve doing a QE3. But we'll see what happens. You never know. Bernank loves to pull surprises out of his hat, and we'll see what happens there. But in any case, futures are trading down about 4 points, 4.5 points, and you'll have the Fed meeting or the Fed announcement at 2:15 this afternoon. So the markets could be somewhat sideways and quiet until then. Maybe we'll get a little bit of action this morning, but markets could drift really sideways for the most part until that announcement is made by the Federal Reserve Bank at 2:15 this afternoon. Now, going forward, looking at a few things, when the futures are lower, usually means that the U.S. dollar index is higher. Sure enough, that is the case this morning. You'll see the futures trading down 4 points. U.S. dollar index is up 30 cents. Yesterday, you could see pretty much the same thing. As soon as the dollar caught a bid, the futures, the markets rolled over, stock markets, the dollar moved higher. Again, that relationship still remains very well intact, and you got to watch that relationship throughout. I don't think there's a more important chart than the U.S. dollar index chart at the moment. I think that tells us everything we need to know for the time being. Until that relationship breaks, it's an inverse move to the dollar. That's what the markets are doing at this time. Okay, let's take a look at a couple of other things. We'll look at the GLD. You'll see GLD trading right now at 174.39, closed at 175.78. Gold had a really big move yesterday on the back of a possible quantitative easing by the central bank, Federal Reserve. So in any case, gold is selling off today. That could be telling us there's not going to be a QE3. In any case, it is trading a little bit lower. Oil is also trading down on the spot by about a point. Let's take a look at the USO. USO is trading at 33.29. Yesterday, the USO closed at 33.43, so trading down a little bit this morning. So oil is a little bit weaker. Gold is a little bit on the weaker side. We have the big Fed meeting today. There is something that you must watch very closely, and this I think, is pretty important. If you take a look at this stock yesterday, Sina, this is Sina Corp. This is a Chinese ADR, really sold off sharply. That was a big sell-off yesterday, a big reversal. Even if you look at Baidu yesterday, that was a big reversal. However, last night the Chinese stock market was up tremendous. It really had a big move higher. It was up over 2.5% last night. The Shanghai. So the Shanghai staged a huge rally. So that could give some life to these Chinese ADRs this morning, especially if the markets can hold up. But I'm not really sure what's going on in China. I have to really look at that chart closely again. But it looked like the Shanghai index was close to a breakdown, and then yesterday stages this big reversal day to the upside. You did have the Hang Seng down 1%. The Sensex was basically flat last night, down 0.2%. The Nikkei was flat also. It was really the Shanghai index that really led things last night. So it was a very big move, Shanghai specific. But China's been leading the U.S. stock market, so we have to take note of that, and we'll see how that all plays out. But that's a big move in the Shanghai last night, and we'll have to keep that front and center, because when Shanghai rallies, usually means the markets will rally. So again, don't take anything for granted in this type of environment. All right. A few other stocks I want to look at this morning. Let's take a look at Walter Energy. Okay, this stock reported earnings. It is getting slammed. So Walter Energy getting slammed today. This stock could go lower. I know it's a takeover candidate, but if that doesn't happen, that's really the premium in here. Stock could go a lot lower at the moment. Walter Energy not showing a lot of support. I guess we broke down through the 70 level now, trading at 65. There's nothing telling me you can't go lower. So be careful there on Walter Energy. Netflix is another name everybody's talking about. Okay, stock is up, trading up a little bit today. Still looks pretty weak on the charts, but it is now getting very washed out and oversold. So again, I'd probably say maybe another 5 points, 7 points of downside maybe, but it is starting to get a little bit washed out and oversold. Netflix has really tumbled over the past week, really tumbled, and continues to remain weak on the chart, but it is trading up this morning just by a little bit, by about $1 or so. So not that big a deal there. I talked about Sina already. Other Chinese ADRs that you could watch today would be NTES. This one is pretty weak. Looks a little bit oversold. So with the Shanghai up last night, this may be getting a bounce. Let's take a look at Sohu. I have not looked at that myself. Yeah, somewhat similar there. So all of these things were just pounded into the ground yesterday afternoon, and still look weak on the charts, but nonetheless, the Chinese ADRs could get a bounce today with the big move in the Shanghai, and there could be some quick trading opportunities there, at least for day trades. Okay, so the big Fed meeting today at 2:15. We'll have to see how that plays out. Again, the European Union is still a disaster, still a mess. I really don't know what they're going to do to solve this problem. But the sooner they just keep lingering this Greek austerity measures and bailing them out, the worse it is. They should just let Greece go bankrupt. And as hard as that is to say, but I think it's in the pipeline anyway. It's going to happen. So that's where we stand. We'll go back to the futures. You'll still see that they're down 4 points, and we'll just take it at that. I don't really see any major decline or any major rally until the Fed announcement. And we'll just see where this market goes. All right, everybody. With that said, have a great trading day. Those of you in the chat room, I'll see you on the microphone at 9 o'clock. And take care, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow morning.